Your brain is currently being hijacked by 7 invisible structures designed to keep you broke, tired, and compliant. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's biology. You think you know your friends, your career path, and even your own mind. But you are living in a structure designed to keep you distracted. Most creators want to show you the tricks used by master manipulators. But today, I am going to show you the code. By the end of this video, you won't just see the game being played around you, you will be the one who wrote the rules. I have synthesized 25 layers of human behavior, from the mechanics of chemical addiction to the hidden architecture of global power. This isn't just a list, this is a map to becoming untouchable. If you feel like an NPC in your own life, reacting to emails, emergencies, and the expectations of others, it is because you haven't been taught how to manage your inner world. Pay close attention, because if you miss the 4th point in our first pillar, the rest of this system will fail you before you even begin. The first pillar of becoming the architect of your own life is surviving the Bio-Hijack. Every day, you wake up and your dopamine levels have reset. This is your baseline. But for most of you, the hijack starts within seconds of opening your eyes. You reach for your phone. You flood your brain with hyperstimulation through doom scrolling and notifications. You are setting a new artificial baseline that no productive task can ever hope to meet. When your brain is motivated by the quick hit of a 15-second video, the hard, meaningful work of building a career or a business feels physically painful. You aren't lazy. You are just dopamine loaded at the wrong end of the day. To fix this, you must adopt what I call boring consistency. It starts with making your bed. It sounds trivial, but it is a psychological win that creates order and momentum before you even leave the room. It proves you can complete a task. Then, you must guard your sleep like it is gold. Chronic sleep neglect isn't a sign of a hard worker. It is a sign of low intelligence. Research shows that running on 4 hours of sleep makes your brain work about as well as if you were legally drunk. You cannot build a kingdom on a foundation of exhaustion. This leads us to the hidden mechanics of your own emotions. Most of us feel before we think. When someone ignores you or insults you, your amygdala triggers a reaction before your logical brain even registers the event. You are a slave to the signal. But the logical shield is your first line of defense. It is the realization that emotions are just signals, not commands. When you feel anger or anxiety building, you must create a gap. Observe the feeling without judging it. Notice how your heart rate rises or your breath becomes shallow. In that gap, your power is hidden. If you can observe your emotion, you are no longer inside it. You are standing above it. This is the difference between being controlled by your impulses and having emotional mastery. Remember, the world wants you to react because a reactive person is a predictable person. Once you have secured your internal foundation, you must face the second pillar, social combat. The people closest to you are often using a psychological code you don't even know exists. You must learn to spot the fake friends and the master manipulators who don't raise their voice, but raise your doubts. Most people look for obvious signs of betrayal, but rare manipulation tactics are much quieter. Watch for conversational ownership, where someone briefly answers your question, then pivots the topic to your flaws, forcing you into a defensive mode. Watch for reverse anchoring, where someone makes an outrageous demand just to make their second, actual goal seem reasonable. They aren't negotiating with you. They are framing your reality. To defend against this, you must employ tactical silence. When the world demands a reaction, offer nothing. Silence creates a void that the other person will desperately try to fill. In their scramble to fill the air, they will reveal their true intentions, their fears, and the limits of their position. Silence is the ultimate armor. If you find yourself in an argument, Do not lose your cool. Use mirroring. Repeat the last 3 words of their statement back to them as a question. If they say they can't give you a raise, simply ask, "They can't give me a raise?" This triggers an automatic response in their brain to explain and clarify. They will talk until they feel understood, and while they talk, you are gathering the ammunition you need to dismantle their position. And for the most dangerous social threats, like those who use your shame against you, you must wear the shamelessness armor. Manipulators rely on your fear of being seen or judged. When you act as if you are already exposed, when you show total indifference to their threats, their ego crushes. Celebrities and public figures don't survive scandals because they are perfect. They survive because they refuse to flinch. Once they know they cannot embarrass you, they lose all power. Now we move into the outlier territory, the third pillar, the structural blueprint. Most people spend their lives fighting for direct power. They think power is about physical strength, the money in their pocket, or their personal charisma. But direct power has a fatal weakness. It requires your presence. The moment you stop acting, the power stops existing. Higher than direct power is positional power, which comes from your title, but that can be stripped away in an instant. True mastery lies in understanding structural power. This is power that is built into the architecture of how things work. It is the economic systems that funnel resources toward you while you sleep. It is the algorithms that prioritize your influence without you lifting a finger. Structural power is invisible until you look for it. It is the law, the tax code, and the social institutions that protect your interests. The highest level of all, however, is ideological power. This is the power to control what people believe is normal, moral, or true. When you control the narrative, you don't need to force anyone to do anything. They will enforce your rules on themselves because they believe it is the right thing to do. They will defend a system that harms them because their identity is built on believing in it. This is how you move from being an NPC to becoming the architect. You stop fighting the system and you start designing one. You build a life where success and emotional peace are the automatic defaults. You create a routine where your health, your wealth, and your relationships are protected by the very structure of your day, rather than by your daily hustle. The common frustration you feel is because your information has been fragmented. You've been taught how to fix a symptom, like a fake friend or a bad habit, but you haven't been taught the disease. The disease is a lack of autonomy. You are being rewired by modern algorithms and AI-generated content to lose your naturalistic intelligence. Your ability to trust reality is being eroded. This is why you must become the architect of your own autonomy. You must be willing to be bored. You must be willing to be misunderstood. You must be willing to say no to the cheap dopamine and the fake status. Actual success isn't a luxury car or a loud lifestyle. It is the silence of a paid-off life and a mind that no longer needs to impress strangers. It is the ability to walk into any room and know the silent hierarchy while remaining completely untouchable,